As wacky woke policies continue to get less and less popular in Canada, the polling is undeniable. The Conservatives have now pulled ahead of the Liberals in every major poll. The Liberal Party, led by Mark Carney and the CBC, are cracking down on censorship. For those of you who consume a lot of content in the online space, I'm sure you've noticed channels, very popular conservative channels, just disappearing. So I've been doing some digging. Free speech is a fundamental pillar of Western civilization. If you don't have a free tongue, you're not a free man. Been digging into what's going on. CBC, I kid you not, has opened something called a visual investigations unit. And what they are doing is they are looking into any conservative social media channels that are growing their followings, and they are using this visual investigations unit is what they call it. I kid you not. Wow, good thing we're giving them $1.5 billion a year. They're taking this visual investigations unit and they are submitting reports to YouTube, to TikTok, on any growing conservative channel, trying to get them shut down. The threshold, as far as I can see, seems to be about 10K followers, at which point they go after you, because it's laughable. The CBC on digital programming gets such small numbers of views. Nobody is interested in the garbage they're peddling. They turn their comments off. Everybody knows on social media, you want to get a conversation going. You want to get a debate going. It's a great idea to get the ideas flowing. CBC knows they can't win. They can't win in the debate, so they turn their comments off, and now they are aiming to shut down anybody that they don't agree with through this visual investigations unit. I personally know from having, just prior to the election, I had an account with over 20,000 followers eliminated just prior to the election. I've had a second account eliminated with a large following. Tyranny, one of the staples of a tyrannical authoritarian government, is quieting dissidents. When you know you cannot win the debate, which clearly they are not winning. They are not winning the debate on sovereignty. 75% of Canadians say we have too many immigrants, we can't handle it. Q1 2025, I kid you not, Mark Carney allowed in another 800,000 between permanent and part-time residents into this country. They do not give a damn. Democracy has become a sham in Canada. It's supposed to be the will of the people. It is the exact opposite of that in the country. It is the will of an incredibly small minority who get very rich off their policies, work on behalf of a global elite. They could give two shits about middle and lower class Canadians. They do not care. And they know, because they know they're subverting democracy, which is supposed to be the will of the people, they're saying we need to shut dissidents up, because if the voices get too loud out there, we know these woke tyrants are so outnumbered. They know they will lose the debate if it's a free and open debate. So now they're going after our free speech. This is a five-fire alarm. Those of you who follow closely what's going on social media know that conservative right-wing accounts are getting banned with an increasing frequency, particularly since Carney was elected. It was bad with Trudeau, don't get me wrong, but it is definitively getting worse with Mark Carney. It's very hard to determine the inner workings of what exactly is going on, but it's undeniable that they're cracking the whip. If Bill C-63, which they currently have in committee, were to pass, it is not an exaggeration to say it would be the end of free speech in Canada. Bill C-63 proposes setting up something they are calling a Digital Safety Commission, which would feature 10 unelected bureaucrats and an ombudsman. Those 11 people, existing completely outside of the Canadian traditional law system, would have the ability to put Canadians on house arrest and give them ankle bracelets, not for anything they've said, not for anything they've done, I kid you not, but for any other citizen having reported them for being likely to say something hateful in the future. That's right, the Canadian government would have the ability to put you under house arrest and give you an ankle bracelet if they believed you were likely to say something hateful in the future. Orwell couldn't have dreamed this up. This is Orwell on steroids, and Bill C-63, which they are attempting to pass right now, features exactly that. This is not an exaggeration to say that it is the end of free speech in Canada if it passes. in addition to this so-called Digital Safety Commission, it sees so-called incitement to genocide, and we know exactly who they're going to go after with that. I hear a lot of incitement to genocide on our streets, and the police roll the red carpet out for it. But if you are convicted of so-called incitement to genocide in Canada, it is a lifetime in prison. Lifetime in prison. The humble bus driver who killed, I forget what the exact number was, but 20 some odd young hockey players got 8 years. Lifetime imprisonment in Canada for incitement to genocide, and it expands the definition of hate speech to so-called fomentation of detestation and vilification. With our tyrannical government, this is going to be incredibly highly politicized. They're going to go after dissidents, go after political opponents. They know they cannot win the debates on the merits, so they are trying to shut dissidents up. I've never seen an attack on free speech like this before. And what's so dangerous is it's the government working hand in hand with the state propagandists, which is exactly what the CBC is. They receive $1.5 billion in funding from our Canadian government every year, and all they do is spew propaganda. You cannot rely on the CBC for any facts. They are essentially the government of Canada's henchmen. They are the government of Canada's henchmen going after dissidents. This visual investigations unit, I'm going to do more digging into them, but once conservative outlets gain enough traction, they go after them with reports to the social media giants. We already know the Liberals are working overtime to build a relationship with social media giants so that opposing viewpoints cannot be voiced. We as Canadians need to stand up and say, sovereignty and freedom of speech are the two pillars of our civilization. We will not let these crazy wokies force us into an authoritarian system that our ancestor did not die in World War I, World War II, for Mark Carney and his brain-dead lackeys to tell us what we are and aren't allowed to say. We are a free people with a free tongue. Freedom of speech is the pillar of the Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms. It's the absolute pillar. We will not let it be torn down by Mark Carney and Liberals. I've set up a Take Canada Back rally, September 13th, noon, Parliament Hill. Let me know if you're interested in attending. Same day as the UK rally. I want to get as many Canadians out there as possible. Hopefully tens of thousands. I know there's a hell of a lot more of them, a hell of a lot more of us than there are them. I know there's so many Canadians that are sick of seeing foreign flags in our streets every day. It's about time patriotic Canadians at our street to take our country back. Like I said, let me know if you're interested in attending. Also, if you're following me on TikTok, I'm at 10K subs now. This is historically when the Canadian government quiets dissidents. Make sure you're following me on YouTube, youtube.com/@FightForCanada2025. Make sure you're following me there. My uncensored content. It's harder to get somebody off of YouTube. Make sure you're following me there. Like, subscribe, hit the link in my bio. Canadian patriots are taking this country back.